Good morning, Southwest Florida, and welcome to the American Tradesman Show with my guest, Gerald Prevet from B&K Water Extraction and Mold Services, right?
That's right.
Good morning, Gerald.
Good morning.
I knew it probably about 100th show I'd probably figure this out, right?
At some point he was going to
101, Anthony got the 100th show, and he got it right. And then, my good friend, my best friend, my only friend, Brian Prevet. BP, good morning from Prevet Plumbing. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning.
I'm glad to see you. Your haircut is really starting to blend in real well now.
That's funny you say that because I was thinking just the other night I need to get another haircut.
Another one? I was going down. I was going to do it again myself. Juan?
Well, I went yesterday and the barbershop was closed, so I was a little disappointed.
You
come over and get it with Brian when I do his hair.
we just bought a 50-piece Tupperware set. We had many selections.
Yeah. Get any size bowl you want put on that noggin.
Is that a 10-gallon bowl cut or?
See, out there in the audience, let me get past this one. Good morning, my partner, Juan Silva from
Good
American
morning,
Electrical.
good morning.
Good morning, sir. So good morning to the Southwest Florida people. I mean, we're kind of here talking about haircuts. That's the most important thing, but I do know now why my tops for my containers are missing, because you kind of throw the tops away and you use them as styles for cutting hair. Is that right, Brian?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go for the offset bladder next.
Is that like a part in the front, business in the back?
No, it's the other way around.
A lot of hair on one side, little hair on the other.
Do you color it that way? Yeah.
No, that's the deviled egg platter.
That just comes with a lot of eggs on it, right? Well, good morning. I know it's 6 o'clock in the morning, right, Juan?
Yeah.
Somewhere in the morning, it's somewhere, right, Gerald? I mean, 6 o'clock in the morning. So good morning, Southwest Florida. And welcome to the American Tradesman Show. My fellas here, we're all comedians for the show. Not sometimes, but all the time. But most of the time, we're not comedians. We talk about real things. Right, Brian?
Oh, yeah.
And then the real things have been going on, Brian. I mean, obviously, is the COVID's still going on. And people are still having to deal with, onset of staying home, right? I mean, I don't think most people are really taking an adventure out to go to, you hear the young people out at the bars and you hear the people out at the restaurants a little bit, but I think a lot of people most sakes are staying in, right? Mm-hmm. And the problem we've all said in the last 6-7 weeks was that these homes are really kind of under a gun with all the people coming in and out now. Things are going to change again from living in the home, right, Juan? I mean, not to say it, but you're living with multiple people in the home. It's going to create, some problems with mold, right, Joe?
That's right.
And the more important thing is, I think, with this COVID is that it's going to spread. I mean, if we don't pay attention, and just because you get to go out again doesn't mean that you should kind of go crazy, in my opinion. I'm staying home. Juan?
Yeah, I mean, just like Anthony was saying, you start using your appliances a lot more. And the reason why I'm bringing that up, I mean, I get home and for some reason, nobody tore the handle off the microwave. I don't know how that happens on its own, but nobody did
Juan, have you been in my house?
Actually, I was the person who did that.
So then you understand.
I understand.
It's karma.
Yeah, it is karma.
Especially you go to pull a handle and now you know how to open
you
it.
just have a bunch of people at home and things just get damaged. Things get overworked. AC units get overworked. Your electrical system gets overworked. Your plumbing gets overworked. I mean, it's just one of those things right now.
Air conditioning has become, a big problem because it's been extremely hot, right, Brian? I mean, and a lot of things that people are using with the air conditioning is there's no shutting them off. So the problem is that these units are probably working overtime right now.
Oh, yeah.
And not to say it, but most people don't understand. Out right now, the air conditioning is part of what we're breathing in and out daily. People take these masks very seriously, and then they walk out the door, take the mask off, and it's airborne, right?
I think a lot of people are walking outdoors right now with their mask on and want to get back in with this heat.
Yeah, it has definitely been hot. So
I think just a couple of weeks ago with the fires, there were so many people that couldn't even open their doors and windows like a lot of people that normally, because all the smoke in the air and the ash.
Yeah, the smoke. I mean, we talked about this last week, I think, too, right, Gerald, about the fires out there in Golden Gate Estates.
Yeah.
We did put a hand out there if any of you guys are out there having problems. I mean, I think there was 32, 33 homes that were lost out there, right? Buildings. And, you live out by that way somewhat, right?
Yeah, out there off Wilson. We were fortunate on this one.
But, I got to say,
down.
it's been so extremely hot that the weather's created a lot of this humidity and fires. So be safe. Any of you people out there off of 32nd, was it? 36th? Somewhere off of, Everglades Boulevard. If you guys need help out there, not to say it, but over in American Contracting, American Electrical, and on behalf of Brian Prevett and his brother Gerald Prevett from Prevett Plumbing and B&K. I mean, we're all here to help our fellow Golden Gate Estates area people. We've been out there long enough, right, Brian?
Oh, yeah.
They call us crackers with cheese if you've been out there after 20 years.
I mean, I'm not a fireman, but they used to call me the fireman.
Hey, I bet. I mean, you're still the fireman. You put fires out, right?
Yeah.
I put out fires a lot of times
Every
too.
day.
Yeah, that's part of being in business, right?
Yeah.
Well, the COVID is still a real thing out there, ladies and gentlemen, and you know we want you guys to be safe out there. And over at American Electrical and Brian from Prevett Plumbing and myself, American Contracting, you know, if you're still looking for those electricians and plumbers and you want somebody to come out, we are coming out there with gloves, right, Brian? Safety gear is up. We have masks ourselves. We wear booties, right, Juan?
Booties, gloves, masks, hand sanitizer.
And sanitizer. I got to tell you, I mean, I should have invested in that a couple of months ago. Right?
I just bought 2 more gallons yesterday.
Yeah, I got to tell you, you got to be. I mean,
We go through it, man. Every one of the technicians, every time they touch something, do something, we got little bottles in each one of them. We actually have taken soap dispensers that you put on the mount of the sink, and that's what we actually have in the van. You fill those up.
yeah, I think this has created somewhat of a hysteria, but it's also created awareness for people, right?
Yeah.
If you think about 6 months ago, somebody would have said, "You got any hand sanitizer in your truck?" You probably would have said no, right, Brian?
We always do,
I know.
regardless.
Well, plumbers.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we don't want to get into that plumbing ideas again, right, Brian? I know you bite your fingernails, Brian. But the hand sanitizer
That's
is
just to
important.
see what the flavor is.
Oh, God. Oh, my
In case I forgot where I was at that day.
Oh, God. We don't want to know where you were at.
You ever
Especially if
offer-
he says Taco Bell.
You ever get offered M&Ms after doing some plumbing work?
M&Ms. Really? Really? M&Ms.
I definitely don't eat like corn on the cob after, you know.
All right, let's get back to the reality of what we were talking about.
You know
COVID
what's-
is going to be
yeah.
here, and we're going to have to play safe.
You know
with
what's
the COVID.
odd is like today, it's like when you go and look at jobs, you know, and you meet homeowners, you know, you have your mask on, but it's kind of just like habit. When you walk up, you want to shake their hand, or, you know, like we used to. Now you just kind of look at them at
Bump
first, like,
elbows.
right? Yeah.
Kick each other's
Well,
feet.
I mean, I just ran into that just before, you know, and you know, you just like you said, you can't walk up, you shake hands. It's like you're strangers, but you keep that level of stranger because you can't welcome each other, you know, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Being Latin, it sucks. I mean, we're hugging everybody. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I even hug Brian sometimes if I can get my hands around him.
Quarter way.
If he grabs the right area, he can get them around there.
It's a tree hug.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we wanted to talk about last week. What we were talking about was with remodels, right, Gerald?
That's it.
And we were talking all about, I mean, the renovation of remodels. And last week, I wanted to kind of come back into talking about the process for it and what we talked about last week, which is, rough inspections
Yep,
and
rough ends.
rough ends and tub sets, right, Brian? The tub sets were something that was at the end of the inspections. But what I wanted people to touch base with is that they understood exactly what the process of what we're talking about is. Just if you have a kitchen or a bathroom remodel or renovation, and you are looking for a general contractor, as myself from American Contracting, or a subcontractor that you need a plumber like Brian Prevett and Prevett Plumbing and B&K Services and Juan from American Electrical, they're subcontractors of myself, or they are actually subcontractors for you. Is that great in saying that?
Yeah.
And the reality is that we give you the understanding of what we're doing for rough inspections and trim inspections and final inspections, because this is the process that we would go through if we had a process of a condo, right, fellas? So I touched base last week about talking about the first thing that we generally do, obviously, is the demolition, right, Gerald? Mm-hmm. And then we moved into the plumbing part of all this. And then the plumbing part was really kind of the inspections of if we do or if we don't put in CPVC or PEX, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's process what we did again and go through that rough inspection and then that trim inspection that rough inspection on Juan I want to jump back at, and electrical, and then we can kind of touch base on how this kind of ends on a final note. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as the rough, you know, like we discussed, you're going to want to evaluate the condition of the pipes in the walls, the type of pipes. If you do have CPVC and it's over 12 to 15 years old, I mean, you really, if you're going to spend the money on a remodel, you might as well go ahead and opt out for a repipe, because that particular pipe is at the end of its lifespan. If you got poly, you definitely want to change it out. If you got copper, you definitely want to evaluate the age, because a lot of your older copper was looped under the concrete, or if it's in a second floor, you never know conditional issues of it, and that's something you always want to evaluate, because you'd hate to spend that kind of money on a remodel and end up with a water leak afterwards, and end up with a loss of your remodel. While you're evaluating that, shower valves is the next thing. Depending on the age of your shower valves, if you're remodeling showers and they're opened up, go ahead and replace it. I mean, shower valves do not cost very much, and you might as well go ahead and replace those so you have brand new, because if you try to skimp out on that little bit of money, then you'll pay for it in the end. Shower drains, if you're going to remove them, if you're going to transfer a tub to a shower, just depending on the different factors, those are things that you're going to need to take care of in the rough. Your vanities, if you're going to move a vanity that's something that needs to be taken care of while you're roughing. And like we discussed last week, the biggest thing is now kitchen sinks. Everybody is going to a deeper kitchen sink. And so many of your older stainless steel kitchen sinks from back in the day had a short 6 to 8 inch depth. Everybody's now going to up to a 10-inch depth. And the stub out in the wall, if it is too high, once you get all this put together, if you don't have a correct plumber who's going to evaluate that, what you're going to end up with is a kitchen sink that doesn't drain and the back of a cabinet that has to be cut out.
So the depths back in the day really were shallow kitchen sinks, if you remember, right?
They were.
Right, Brian? I mean, how big were they? 6 inches?
Yeah,
most were 6 inches.
Depending on who you talk,
Yeah, what type of sink and what type of I got that part.
Yeah, and like I said, a lot of the ones nowadays, I mean, you're going to a lot larger depth sink, and if you don't watch out, because you now have disposals as well. So now you've also dropped the depth of the drain even more by attaching a disposal to that deep sink. And if that happens, you're going to end up with your drain coming out of the wall being above the drain coming out of the sink. And when that happens, you, of course, will not have water that flows out.
The other thing that started going on, Gerald, as we see all the time, is that they started going from center drains to where the drain would be located further back on the sink. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times there wasn't enough room to get the hookup done.
The offset back to it, right?
Yeah, the offset to the back of the basin on the sink.
You know what the problem is? That they clog right there, that offset too, I've seen. I mean, not to say it, but the garbage hose is so tight to the ground. I mean, tight to the bottom of the cabinet. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what you're talking about from understanding, so the audience understands, I mean, what Gerald's talking about, a lot of people don't understand from a standpoint of just the beginning procedures of making sure that things are going to fit in the right place, right, Brian? And a lot of times that's what we do at American Electrical. We walk through before we even start the job, right?
Yeah, we walk through before we start the job, and on the electrical side, like I say, we like to work with specifications, because we have to know what amperages, what wire sizes, and how to connect equipment. And it directly relates to what Gerald was saying, is that, it's not just plumbing. It's just not sticking a pipe out of a wall. There's measurements, there's specifications that are required that they would need in order to do their job correctly, and it just takes the hassle out and the guesswork out of it.
In the sense of all of it, what we're talking about on the show is that the process that as a contractor, or most of the contractors out there, are going to do is their diligence, obviously, beforehand to get you, like you said, Juan, the specifications on the dishwashers and the garbage disposals and
the sinks,
the sink, and the air conditioning, and all the things that you need to start the job is the process that we do as a contractor to making sure that we are prepared. Right, Gerald, for doing that job.
No, yeah. I mean, it's no problem for, when you go into the rough-in stage, for myself or Brian to sit down and spend several hours going over specs to make sure, A, your shower valves are going to be, correct. They're all going to be compatible with the fixture, the trims, and everything you've picked out. B, that your kitchen sink is going to be good, or we may need to elevate or lower the drains. And making sure that all your fixtures, everything's going to be compatible. And especially, a lot of folks now are going to the standalone tubs, ensuring that you have proper placement for drains and fills for those tubs, because...
And fills. I just threw that in there, Brian. And fills.
Fills.
Brian, fills, drains. I mean, it is definitely what you just said. The standalone tubs are the biggest thing, Brian, as we know, right?
Oh yeah, the soaker tubs.
Yeah, I gotta
with
tell
the
you,
tub fills.
those tub fills, all of them have to be. You got to specify where they're going, what they have to do, right? Those specifies. I mean, if you don't stay with that, I mean, specifications, this is where problems get. You have to move the tub back and forth, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be very, very approximate on your measurements, your calculations, because if not, the tub won't work, the tub fill won't work, and if you got a tub fill that sits too far away from a tub, it's going to spit on the floor instead of the tub, and you're going to have a problem then.
Spit on the floor, Brian. There's no toilet or no tub that needs to be spit on the floor, Gerald. Okay,
Well, that tub filler will do it if it ain't close enough to that tub.
Brian, we know about them tub fillers.
Yeah, baby.
We know now about them tub fillers. But, listen, in the roughing stage, we're talking about roughing in, putting in new, obviously PEX, right? From a standpoint of water, brand new PEX in the home if we're doing a renovation. And then we're getting new valves, right? Mm-hmm. Once we put in new valves, then we're also locating where Gerald, that's to say the specifications, where the sinks go in the bathrooms. Those are the things that we process through, correct? Go ahead and fill in from where.
Shower valves, and like we talked about last week, if it's going to be a diverter, if you're going to have a handheld, a rain head, a standard shower head, locations, because you may have somebody, two people in that family who are short, and they're not going to want their handheld to be up at normal height for, the average tall person. So, I mean, these are all things you really have to factor in and know before you start setting everything up, because if not, when it gets down to the tub set and the final stages and you've gone too far then, and it's not going to be a good scenario.
I mean, if you're a homeowner and you're dealing with a professional, whether it be plumbing, electrical, or whatever, if you have them come over and you make up your mind and you just plan and organize everything, you're going to save so much money.
Yeah.
Because what happens is people have a tendency to let's get it started, and then you set up the process for like the rough, and then you get to the tub set part, where the walls start to get closed up, and then they say, oh well, this is what we've decided to
move
to get.
Right. Oh yes.
Oh well, that won't quite work like that. Now we're going to have to tear this apart and redo it that way. It's just some people don't grasp the concept. But if you have the specs, you have the information. We've all been doing it long enough. We'll put exactly where it needs to go, and it'll hook up, and everything will go smooth.
It's the preparation that you would have. Not
the H, but just the preparation. I mean,
not the H. It's not the H that you preparate. It's the preparation of preparating, right, Brian?
Absolutely.
And it is preparing for the job. And a lot of people out there really don't recognize what it takes to get that job correctly. And this is where other people that are not licensed in the project, hypothetically from a handyman standpoint, it puts us in a different position. These guys are going to run and gun, and they're not going to care where pipes are put or what size pipes are put anywhere, right? What size wires? I just got a call today. The guy says he's got a wrong breaker, and I said, what size breaker? He says a 50 amp breaker. I said, what size wire? He says number 10. So then in my mind, the first thing I'm thinking is, well, number 10, what is it doing? And I'm thinking to myself, he's probably just something periodically, but it's an oven. So when you get an oven as number 10 wire, but a 50 amp breaker, Brian, Juan.
Yeah, that's not a good.
That's not a no-brainer. So we know that the wire size is on our side, but the reality is that what we're giving you is a professional, system and a professional opinion and a professional job, right, fellas? Mm-hmm. And we're making sure that this thing is permitted correctly in the right way. And when you walk away, if you have a problem, we're going to fix the problem. And that doesn't say for every contractor, but a lot of people do go through a lot of things thinking that a handyman can do anything he wants.
No, if you kind of, put it, I kind of see it like this in a relation, right? If you just can't get anybody to rebuild a motor.
No.
You can't.
Well, let me stop you on that motor thing. I did see your truck today at Regal Auto and Tire for the second time. This time it was a Chevrolet, just kind of thought it was. I thought it was Toyota at first.
Oh, we used the parking lot for advertising.
Oh, I didn't know.
Oh, there you go.
Subliminally, Joe, me and Joe from Regal Tire and Auto, that I knew that would come up from Brian. I knew he would make an excuse. Joe, you did tell me what exactly was wrong with that truck, and I know it right now. Just
It was just out of gas.
Okay.
The oil was low.
Regal Tire and Auto. Regal Tire and Auto. Joe from Regal Tire and Auto, right down on Y'all Street. That's my man. Though. He takes care of all of Brian's vehicles. Joe, I love you, Joe. But
New set of tires.
Yeah, new set of tires. But Brian, nice try. But Joe, Juan, let's go back to where we were at.
Yeah, so like what I was saying is like not everybody can rebuild a motor, right? A mechanic would know how to disassemble and assemble things. And with that being said, what I'm trying to say is it'll take a general contractor. A general contractor knows the process from start to end, how to get all the subcontractors together, how to get all the specifications together, how the build happens. You know, we all can be shade tree mechanics to a certain point. But at the end of the day, when you have a large project, a kitchen remodel, a remodel of a home, an addition, you know, you cannot rely on a handyman. You need a general contractor with very good subcontractors behind them who can lead you the right way.
Yeah, handyman. I'm not knocking any handyman out there. They can hang pictures and they can do what, Juan? Take down fan blades?
Yeah, take down fan blades and dust them off.
That's it. So I really look at Collier County's codes, right, fellas, on what it is to work as a licensed contractor and what a handyman can do. Again, a handyman is not licensed in any way, shape, or form to do any electrical work except take down fan blade. One.
Yep, and dust them off.
Brian, I don't think in the plumbing world that there is anything a handyman can do, can he?
No, but if you talk to a handyman,
He'll do it all.
there's everything.
Yeah.
You know.
But in the sense of the show is not about handyman. It's about local contractors, subcontractors, right, fellas, that are professional licensed contractors, right?
Yep.
So the reality is that we talk about this contracting, we're talking about the remodel. I wanted to step through the remodel, Gerald, on this side, and Juan, and kind of jump over to you on the electrical. A lot of times, I mean, Juan, the electrical is based on, I mean, where are you putting light fixtures too, right?
Where we're putting light fixtures, where we place switch placement, receptacle placement. Well, we do have codes, you know, towards receptacle placement, bathrooms, kitchens, and wall spacing. They need to be, you know, located in certain areas per the electrical code. But we can shift those to a certain point that's going to meet where you want them. Door swings are very important. I mean, I have seen this plenty of times where some electricians don't pay attention to door swings, and you have a door covering switches.
Yeah. It's not a lot of times, it's a lot of times. And then you're saying it, that's like, some people just don't know, right? The door swing was after the fact, or the door swing was already there. I don't know. I mean, I've seen a lot of times, I mean, that way, and they don't know what to do.
Exactly. And, you know, just placement of switches that will make common sense as you enter and exit a room, you know, to where you don't have to walk across a room to turn on the light. You know, those are a lot of things that come with experience, you know, and placement of lighting, knowing how the type of fixture that you're installing, the height of the ceilings to know that you're going to have enough lumens in the ground. You know, there's just a lot of things that you have to know to put this together.
Yeah, safety, I mean, is one thing, obviously. Outside, a lot of people do want, I mean, outside lighting. I mean, we do a lot of soffit lighting nowadays, right?
Soffit lighting, yep.
A lot of things that people don't, I mean, kind of put themselves in an understanding of is nowadays with the whole automation world of Lutron, hypothetically, the Lutron world, Radio Raw 2 specifically, which we are a dealer in Lutron, correct?
Yep, Lutron dealer.
We are a Lutron dealer. What we do now is that we use alarms.com to integrate with Lutron, correct?
Yeah.
So that we can do the lighting from my application on alarms.com. And also we have a local app on my Lutron app, correct?
Yeah, so, you know, if you're looking to go with automation, we can, like Anthony was saying, we can, you know, tie your lighting system together. And the beautiful thing is this is something that can be done afterwards. You know, it all depends on how we're going to take care of things. We'll bring it up at the rough stage and the wiring stage. But if it's a decision that needs to be done at a remodel or even after the fact, like I said, there are different devices and different things that we can do to add that in once the walls are closed in.
You know, with wireless nowadays, Juan, I mean, it's pretty much controlling everything. I mean, not to say it, but everything is driven from an IP address and Wi-Fi is connected to it. And next thing you know, I mean, Brian, you said to me the other day, it was Matt said to me that the dryer and the washer machine are connected to the Wi-Fi.
Really?
So you could actually, I mean, if there was somebody standing there, I guess, throwing the clothes in the washing machine, I'm not sure if I'd want to be there to turn them on and turn them off, but you can turn the washer and dryer on right from there.
I went to a penthouse the other day up in Bonita. I had to call the homeowners who were up north and ask them to turn the lights on because the light thing on the wall had like all, you know what I mean? There was like 12 things on one.
You didn't want to mess it up.
No, absolutely not.
I can tell you that nowadays everything in the world is automated. My home out on 5th Street Northwest, that's 667, right, Brian?
Yeah.
667, right, Gerald?
Yeah.
667 5th Street
Beautiful home.
Northwest. I have a spec home model out there on Golden Gate Estates. I have just started my open house, Juan, on Sunday. I mean, I had my first open house, Brian. So I will say that I would love for anybody to come out at 667 5th Street Northwest. You can give my assistant, Michelle, a call at 239-719-1789. That's 239-719-1789. You know, everybody that's sitting at this table has worked at that job, right? Over and over, right, Juan?
It has all the bells and whistles.
It's got a lot of bells and whistles. I mean,
And it's got a tub filler.
and
And actually, in 3 days from California, we will have matching toilet handles.
in 3 days, ladies and gentlemen, matching toilet handles. You have to come out and see this 3,200 square foot beautiful home
And the toilet handles.
and the toilet handles that we designed with my good partner Matt Lawton, who has given me the option to do what I thought was best on a home, and we did. This house is black and white, right, Brian?
Oh, yeah.
It's got the most beautiful tile on the floors. So I urge you to come out to that 667 5th Street Northwest. Call my office at 239-719-1789. That's 239-719-1789. Give us a call. We'll set up a time for you guys to come out and look at this gorgeous model that we just finished up. It is a true estates home.
I tell you
fellas.
what, the home is beautiful. And what you did outside with the pool and that
Tiki hut.
Oh, yeah, that's just out of this world.
Yeah, if you want to see a home with a tiki hut and a big pool back in the yard, I mean, I'm a believer, right, bro? Juan and Brian knows. I am an outdoorsman, outside, oasis kind of guy. And I got to tell you that, I mean, you have not seen a home out in the estates like this other than if you come to see my home, right, Juan?
Yeah.
I mean, it is something to see, and I urge you all. Again, and the fellas that are around me are the guys that put this thing together with me. Juan, over to American Electrical. What's that phone number, Juan?
Yeah, give us a call at 239-353-4389.
We just set up a generator also, right? I mean,
Yep.
it's a generator set up. I mean, the whole house, Brian, is gas, right? Everything in the house is gas. I mean, I put the dryer is even gas. The range is gas. The barbecue is gas. The pool heater is gas. The generator is gas. The water heater is gas. It was a smart move for me to energy efficiently run that home from gas. That home lives on 76-degree weather. Inside that home, it feels like it's 74.
Well, I mean, I think it's just great because it's it's a home built for the future. It's smart ready. It's hurricane ready. I mean, it's it has it.
Yeah, we'll have a gates and a fence up next week. We're having the gates put in and installed. I mean, it has an opener, but it is a true estate home out in Golden Gate Estates. My home, my house, so I can say is God's country, right, fellas? Brian, what's Brian Prevet's phone number over at Prevet Plumbing?
239-596-5533.
239.
596-5533.
Don't fret.
Call Prevet.
Don't fret, Gerald. Call
Prevent.
Prevet. And Gerald, what's that phone number over at B&K?
239-398-9834.
Mold services is a part of all of this, right, Gerald? I mean, not to say it, but I mean, all of this is based on, not to say water extraction, the mold services, but I am running into more and more homes daily with a lot more problems with mold. And I think it's because people are, I'm not saying leaving the homes or the homes are foreclosing right now, but I do hear some things going on. And I got to say that mold is going to become a big problem within the next 6 months if it stays that way.
It is.
Mold is part of, I mean, Gerald's background and Brian Prevet, they both have a business together with that business. And, I got to say, if you have any issues with mold services, another thing is, I mean, not to say, but we just worked with a public adjuster. Is that correct in saying that?
Yep.
And the public adjuster is now actually doing the project for us over at a client of mine. So, if you need a public adjuster and you had the insurance company out, right, Gerald?
Yeah. Give me a call. I can help you out with a public adjuster. If you don't think the insurance company is giving you a fair number, please, I implore implore you to acquire a public adjuster because he is going to fight on your behalf. He does not care about the insurance company or how bad it hurts them. Now, the insurance company will have their own adjuster out, and please do not confuse that with a public adjuster because he is there for the insurance company. He is going to minimize the damage as much as he can. So if you feel that you're not getting enough out of your claim to cover the cost of the repairs and the replacements, give me a call, 239-398-9834. I will put you in touch with a public adjuster that will he is top notch. He has worked for the insurance companies, so he knows how to burn them.
I mean, I would say if you definitely have like substantial damage or even think you do, I would contact a public adjuster because then it just keeps it real simple. You know what I'm saying?
You know, people don't know. I mean, about that too. I mean, to be honest, I didn't know about it.
And another thing, if you do have damage, you do not have to accept who the insurance company sends to do your remediation. You do have the opportunity to take the time to do a background and check because I come behind a lot of well-known remediation companies around Collier and Lee County, and they are the most corner-cutting people that you have ever found. And like I said, these people are well-known, big companies, and they, like I said, are not doing these things correctly. And you really need to have, somebody who has a good background, who you think is going to be trustworthy.
You know, the problem with all of it is that we're in such a high speed, high motion, right, Brian? I mean, everybody's moving at the speed of light to try to get the work, sell the work, right, and then perform. I mean, right? So right now, a lot of businesses are struggling just to keep businesses going, right? So they're going to do what they have to do, what you said, cut corners in order to get it done right? I hate to say it, but that's not the right way.
Yeah, I talked with the client. She said that the company had come in, set up dehumidifiers, and left them running for several weeks with no work. I mean, this is unacceptable. I mean, dehumidifier will not scrub the air. So the first thing that has to happen is your area that is going to be the unsanitary area, that has to be, sectioned off. You have to have a containment. So here you had a company who set out dehumidifiers, which all it does, it has a fan on it, pulls air through, pulls moisture out, sends the air back out. There's no filtration in that whatsoever. So if you do have a bad area, all you're doing is pushing air to the good area, and you're just transferring.
I went to a job last week, and I brought your public adjuster in, and in 4 rooms, they blocked the AC off from coming in to the room, right? And I said to myself, well, I mean, it's hot. I mean, completely, it had to be, the humidity factor had to be sweating more than anything. And I said, why'd they tape off the ductwork? He said, well, they didn't want air coming back into it. And I go, but they didn't want air coming back into the room? The room was so humid that the doors started to crack around the frames. I mean, everything's, the woodwork, the baseboard. And I said, they're just creating more problems by turning the AC off in the room.
Did they have plastic up over the doorway?
Yeah, they had plastic up. Yeah, it was, tight as a drum.
They have the dehumidifiers and all that stuff running in there.
Yeah, and the dehumidifiers couldn't keep up. There's no way. It was just so humid.